Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hangin with Hobo live. We are live 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the wonderful redneck capital of the world, Gastonia, North Carolina. A badge I wear with honor, I guess. So it's a bit of a dark day in the laser world. Um, I'm not in the best of moods today. Very, very sad day indeed. I woke up this morning with an inbox full of messages from people asking me what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. I didn't know what was going on. And I'm to find out Rolly is calling it quits. Rolly is throwing in the towel. It is a dark deed for the laser hobbyist everywhere because it is a fantastic product. And he's not stopping because of any product related issues. But I learned of it through a few of you reaching out, wanting to know what's going on, because I am not part of the Rolly Automation Facebook group. And a few of you know a little bit about that, but we're going to expand on that a little bit too, because you need to be aware of some situations, of some things that's going on behind the scenes, so you can protect yourself in the future, and not from Rolly, but from other players that maybe have other intentions. So there was a post that was put on Facebook. If you're not a member of that group and you're not on Facebook at all, this is the post that Leo put up today. I had someone else who did have access to the group share it with me, and so I can share it with you if you haven't seen this. Leo posted, "Hey at everyone, I've been putting off posting this update because I wasn't sure how to break the news to everyone. After a lot of thought, I regret to inform you that we've stopped development on the Galvomatic and that we'll be winding down Rolly Automation over the next year or so. We will be refunding the Galvomatic pre-order customers their deposits over the next 2 weeks. If you have ordered a Galvomatic, please check your inbox." Why did we decide to stop development? It was mostly due to personal and family health issues. Given that we have a small team developing a product as complex as the Galvomatic, it is a very demanding and sometimes grueling process. After a health issue popped up in June, I found it difficult to approach this work with the rigor it requires. After struggling with it for some time, I've decided, or I've recently concluded that I just don't have the energy or the time to deliver a refined and polished product for our customers. The laser engraver market is a very competitive space that demands continuous, all-in effort. And since we no longer can be all in, we've decided to stop. In hopes that someone else can make use of the work done so far, we've open sourced the Galvomatic PCB schematics and Clipper-based firmware on GitHub, and he's provided that information. Also, the Lasermatic MK2 and MK2XW are now on clearance pricing on our website. We are still committed to the 1-year warranty, and we'll have an excess of spare parts stocked. Although we won't be able to provide live video tech support beyond the next couple of months, email-based support will still be available for the next 12 months. So it's a lot of things packed in there. Really, really heavy message. Number one, this was a decision. I have not spoken to Leo. I have not had any firsthand communications with him, but I have had firsthand experience in what he's going through right now. So I can tell you that this was not a decision that he made lightly. It weighed on him heavily. To this, Rolly was, that was his baby. He great pride in that, and you can tell that in the product that he puts out. Or he only want to put out the best of the best. And you know as much as I do about the health issue, but whenever you pour as much of yourself into a project like this and you hold it to such high standards, it's really difficult to turn the reins over to someone else and expect them to continue to uphold that same level. And so he probably had a couple of different options he could have went with. Ultimately, he decided that it was just in the name of right now. Rolly is the cream of the crop. Can't get any better. And didn't want to roll the dice on a subpar product that he had the inability to help control the outcome. So made a decision just to call it quits for right now. I hope and pray that whatever it is that has caused these health issues is something that is not going to be, short, terribly terminal. I hope that pray that things are going to be okay. But right now, stress is probably the last thing that he needs in his life. And trying to run a business, maintain a business, employees, and he said it's a small company, but still dealing with production, output, quality control, and one of the biggest headaches is dealing with us, the public. Because not everybody is a gracious customer or understands that while you might have the best of the best, things can still happen. And just dealing with people can be stressful, extremely stressful. So I understand that for whatever reason, he decided that, to cut that stress out of his life to lighten his load. It's unfortunate that that's what you have to do. But with that said, and he mentioned that they'll still be having the tech support for a couple of months for the video support, but beyond that, it's going to go to email support. And one thing that I want to make you aware of, anybody that, and there's probably most of you don't know this, I'm sure, but the Rolly Automation Facebook group, it's not controlled by Rolly Automation. Leo is listed as an admin, but he doesn't have control over it. It's not registered to Rolly Automation. It was created and controlled by another mouthpiece. And ultimately, when Leo shutters, this Facebook group can continue and very well may continue with that official Rolly Automation Facebook group name, even though it's not and never really has been. That mouthpiece, kicked me out because he wanted to have that spotlight all to himself. A very bitter, shallow man. And you need to be cautious of the things that might come from the future from that website, that Facebook group, because it won't be coming from Rolly. So personally, I would recommend at this point, if you have no other needs, as far as dealings with communication, that might be a group that you might just need to be done with, because I can see it try to become something that it's not, offering support that's not really from Rolly, even charging for support, because that's his end goal, is to make money anywhere and everywhere he can. So be careful. Be aware. If you don't need to be in that group anymore, you don't need the support, just be done with it. So anyway, dark day today. And I do sympathize with Leo, because, like I said, I had to do the same thing after my health condition, after heart attacks and the strokes. I had to it weighed on me heavy. It was not an easy decision, but I ended up, closing and selling the real estate of a business for family owned business for 40 odd years, well established, best of the best. Everybody wanted to do business at my place, but I just couldn't do the stress anymore. So I can sympathize and empathize with them better than most. So again, my thoughts and prayers go out to Leo and his family, and hope that, there's no real serious things going on there. Obviously there are, but hopefully it's not life threatening. So now that that's out of the way, we're going to talk about scaling today and why scaling is important. What is scaling? And I'm really just, I'm in a funk. I have been in a funk after learning this all day today. So hello to everybody. Seen a few faces in here. Good to see Stephen back in the group. Excellent. Glad that you're up and out and on your feet and causing trouble. And let's see here. What else did I see? I seen some conversation about notifications. If you're, and this, funny enough, notifications was what ended my involvement with the other chapter. Your if you're subscribed to the channel, if you're subscribed to Hobo with Wood, and you've hit the notification bell on your subscription whenever you in your YouTube on your PC, that doesn't mean you're going to get notifications here on your phone. In order to get notifications on your phone, you may have to go into the app on your phone, go into the settings and the notification settings. It might even be the notification settings for your phone for, and you go into each app, and which app do you want to allow notifications for? Because if you're not allowing notifications from that app, you're not going to receive notifications from that app. And I pointed that out in that last channel, and he got all huffy and puffy and blowed up and screaming and hollering. And that's when I just said, okay, bye, see ya. So be sure you've liked or subscribed and hit the bell for notifications, but then you're going to need to make sure that you're allowing notifications. But then short of that, you can do what I had to do, even for myself. In my calendar, I've got set up every other every other Saturdays at 3 and every other Saturdays at 9. And today was at 3. Next week will be at 9. So I have an actual calendar appointment, for each week. So I know when I'm supposed to be here for you guys. So yeah, in fact, there we go. Melissa's one, she said, I feel like I'm missing out. I am subscribed. However, I don't see the notifications. Maybe I need to turn it. Yep. If it's on your phone, you may have to go over and allow the notifications on your phone. So anyway, all right, I want to get through these comments and questions. And if you've got a comment or a question that you need me to see or acknowledge, precede that comment or question. Where is it? Here we go. Put some question marks in front of your question and exclamation marks in front of your comment, and I'll make sure I acknowledge that and address it in the stream here. And you know what? And I meant to mention this. I forgot. He mentioned in that post that the remaining rollies he has in inventory, he's got them on, a discount price. If you've been on the fence about buying a rollie, do not let the fact that they are shuttering production prevent you from going and getting a rollie. In fact, right now, it's sad to say, you can take advantage of his misfortune, and he's got those marked down. I think I've seen some of them as low as $8.99. It's mind blowing. So go over to Rolly and help him out. And if you were on the fence of buying one, like I said, don't let this hinder you from getting it. He's still going to be doing the support and have the 1-year warranty. You will love the machine, and you're going to save a ton. So, and I'm not even asking you to use my link, because even if you use I'm not going to accept any commissions from him at all. So you can use my link, which is hobowithwood.com/Rolly, to get to the Rolly page, or rollyautomation.com, and there you are. But I'm going to refuse any commissions from him at this point. Let's see here. So I didn't know that. I had no idea he was already addressing it, but beware, be very aware of what's going on. And like I said, I would not be any part of that group any longer if I weren't already. Let's see here. Looking. Well, there's a comment. Hey there. Hey there. I'm sorry you and others are in a funk, and to learn about your business closing. Yeah, surprised that. Well, the problem is the way that happens, as far as others Leo thought that someone was helping him out by setting up, because Leo didn't have time, or maybe even as much knowledge with the social platform, setting all that up. So he says, I'll do it for you. I'll set it up. But he set it up, and he set it up using his personal Facebook or his personal emails or his business emails, registered everything to his business, claiming it as his page, and then listing Leo as an admin and Dimitri as an admin. But officially, he is the owner of that page. And you can do that with anything. If I wanted to have, if the website for IBM didn't exist right now, if IBM.com wasn't already claimed, I could go register that for, the $49 or whatever it is, and post it, own it, and put it up. In fact, I own the domain for my name, stevefortner.com. And there is a real estate agent down in Texas who wants it desperately wants it, but ain't giving it up. But you can register any domain that you want to, and set up any page you want to, and there's not any kind of real rules or governance about it. So Desert Flower said she's got. Do you have that truck in the real world, or do you have that truck that you've cut out in the laser? I was also having trouble with notifications, so I just added them on the calendar on my phone. Yeah. Okay, so I got the end of those. Oops, what's that all about? Cancel that. Close. There we go. And I'm gonna mark this, and then we'll do that. We're gonna mark this spot. Now, scaling. When I first designed this truck, I designed this truck as a coaster holder and napkin holder that was going to go on the centerpiece of the table. It's designed so you can put condiments in it, napkins in it, coasters in it, do whatever. And that's what dictated the size of this truck. And I had no other plans for this truck when I designed it. There was nothing on the horizon for it other than a centerpiece for condiments and coasters. But then I developed my barn. And once I developed the barn, I was like, oh, that's cool. And I said, you know what? I need a silo. I need a windmill. So I started making all these other pieces to go with my barn. And I say, hey, I got the farm truck. I just need to scale it down so that the farm truck is the appropriate size to match the scale of my barn. And Desert Flower says, oh, silly, I've got this actual laser. She doesn't have, or they don't have the actual truck. And Chris says, I'm, and that's smart, Chris. Chris says he made a few bucks with selling domain names he grabbed in the early days. Yeah. I offered to sell my domain to the realtor down in Texas, but he don't want to pay the price I want for it. So we'll just sit on it. But anyway, so I said, I've got the truck design. I just need to scale it down to the appropriate size for the barn. So I'm like, well, what is the appropriate size for the barn? How is that going to look good? Which side? And so at that time, all of the files already existed. And I did, when I designed the barn was the first piece that I did. And then I think I did the silo next. And I think I did the windmill, the gentleman's windmill. And when I did the next two pieces, the silo and the windmill, I did take into consideration the perspective and the scale of the barn when designing the next two pieces. And how I did that is I said, okay, well, let's look at the average barn door size. How big is a barn door? And if I was to snap my fingers and put that in the real world, how big is it? What's that opening like? And the same thing with the doors I put on the side of the barn for the horse entry into the stalls. I took all that into consideration when I was designing the barn. But now when I'm going to design the next pieces, I'm like, okay, well, if the barn door is 13 feet tall, now I have a scale on a preset design, and I now want to make the silo relative to the size of that door so that it all matches up. And then the same thing for the windmill. And this is a few pictures of the barn scene and the truck, because once I got figuring, okay, well, now I know I've got all those done. So I need to put the truck in the barn. Well, if the truck's if the barn door was about 13 feet tall, and I Googled the average height of the 1953 Ford F100, and so the F100 is about this tall, and the door is about this tall. Then I used the math to figure out to get the ratio right, and then scaled that file down to this, and the outcome was this. So I was able to get a barn. These designed, and like I said, this one I just had to scale it down. And I was, ultimately I was pretty happy with the way those all scaled out together. That looks like that the height of that truck is appropriate for the height of that barn door. And these, if you're familiar with the horse stalls, these are not regular entry doors. These are either 4 to 6 feet wide and about 8 feet tall or 10 feet tall. They're big, broad doors for the horse to go through. And there's the 3 different size trucks that I've done for different reasons. That one was the big centerpiece. I forget what I scaled that one down for, but then that ultimately was for the barn. But recognizing your proportions of your design and your product, and then using that awful 4-letter word math to help you get things proportional. Because if I were to take and even this truck, which is considerably smaller than the big one, and park that one in the barn door of the barn, it's way too big. I mean, it fits, it'll go in there, but it fills the entire door opening up, and it's not proportioned. It's not correct. So scales, and someone asked me, in fact, let me address these comments here. Robert says he ordered the IR module. I didn't even think about that, but I'm not a big IR guy. John, I have that actual truck in real life and have restored 2 other ones. Cool. Very good. Yes. Math is a 5-letter word, not a 4-letter word, but it is a 5-letter word. It's 4-letter word. It's 4-letter word, not 5. Math, just like it's a 4-letter word. That grill is off of 48 to 49. Yeah, I was thinking it was 50, but I wasn't real sure. But anyway, scale. Somebody asked me the other day about one of my designs. Hey, is that an HO scale? Oh, it was about the gazebo, wherever it's at. Said, hey, is that gazebo? Is it an HO scale? And I said, well, technically you could say it was an HO scale because HO scale is just nothing more than a ratio. And I think it's 1 to 87 or 1 to 78. We'll see in a minute. But, and all that means is for every for every 1 foot, it's for every 87 foot in real life, it's 1 foot, or whatever dimension you're using. In these cases, I'm using millimeters. I said, so if you called it HO scale, you could say, yeah, sure, it's HO scale. But when you looked at it and did the ratio and converted it out, instead of it being about a 32-foot tall gazebo, it would have been a 70-foot gazebo. That would have been its conversion rate using the HO scale. So if you do have requests for people wanting pieces done on HO scale, I'm going to show you some of the problems with trying to reduce designs down that small. And you can't use your 3mm material when you start making itty bitty pieces like that, because just the slots and tabs, if you're using slots and tabs, are going to be way, way too big for a piece scaled to HO scale. But there are a bunch of scales, a bunch. In fact, let's close that. We'll minimize that, and we'll minimize that for right now. Actually, we'll just switch over to there. In fact, actually, there we go. That 87-foot gazebo would have some big steps. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So here is a list of some of the most popular. This ain't all of them. This is just some of the most popular hobby scales and what the ratios are and what they're used for. So in fact, I'll have this screen up for a minute so you can pause your video if you want, go back and rewatch this and pause it and write these ratios down and have a record of them if you wanted. So people who make, and this is something that actually comes in real handy for laser crafters, dollhouse furniture and dollhouses, anything that would be a dollhouse ratio, it's a 1 to 12 ratio, or in this case, they're saying 1 inch equals 1 foot. 1 to 12 is the ratio. Die-cast cars and collectibles, 118. Cars, trucks, and aircrafts, 124. Farm equipment, 132. Military equipment, tanks, and dioramas, 135. Die-cast cars, which are your little Hot Wheels and Matchbox, they're 143 scale. Aircraft vehicles, wargaming miniatures, 148. Oh, no, that was different die-cast. There's Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels are actually 164. Hot Wheels and Matchbox are different than the other die-cast. So they actually made those even smaller than the vintage die-cast, and so on and so forth. But then you get down here to these last ones, these last three, the OO scale, the HO scale, and the N scale. These are train model scales. And depending on where they were designed and made, the OO is, and I think there's even a G scale. I know there is. These are model trains in the UK. Model trains and buildings is the HO is one of the more popular train scales you'll see out there. And then the N scale. The N scale is super, super small at 1 and to 160. So if you're here, they were using 1 inch equals 1 foot. Now in the laser world, I use 1 foot equals 1 millimeter. Whenever I'm scaling for my own personal stuff. If you're actually scaling it to market and sell to someone for, actual HO or the farm dollhouse, then you need to stick with the 1 inch equals 1 foot in order to keep everything proportional to what they have. But when I'm designing and scaling, I'll draw it down to, for every 1 foot, it's a millimeter within the design. So you have that ratio. What is that one? What I just showed you, the 112 is 1 inch equals 1 foot. The HO scale is 1 to 87. If you were to take that 1 to 12, 1 to 24, the colon they have pictured in the ratio, if you were to turn that into a division symbol, that'll help you figure out, or remember when you're scaling your design how to do that. And here are 2 written out mathematical equations that you might want to take a screenshot of, pause, and get. I use metric scaling is just moving the decimal point. That's Chris. And let's see, close or minimize that and go back here and swap. So to scale from real world to model dimensions, scale equals the real world dimensions divided by the model dimensions. That'll give you the scale factor, the ratio. That'll give you the ratio. If you take the real world dimensions and divide it by what you've made it at. So if the real world dimensions was 100 foot and your model dimensions was 10 foot, well, then your scale was a 1 to 10. Model dimensions from real world dimensions to scale. So if you've got your model dimensions, you've got an actual piece. Like I had my barn. I already had the barn completely made, but then I needed to know how to scale the other pieces, the truck, the windmill, the silo. I have my model dimensions. And in this case, I used the very specific dimensions of the door, the front door of the barn, and said, okay, well, if that's what those real world, I said, well, the real world dimensions of that barn would be this, and then divide it by what the measurement is on the actual door. And I got my my scale or my ratio, and I used that figure to then scale up all the other parts of the design. And hopefully I didn't fumble that, but I know how I did it. I don't know if I enunciated it right. The math that I just had on the screen is right. Trust me. But there's another way you can scale pieces in Lightburn too. I did a piece this week for, I think it was Robert. I'm pretty sure. I apologize because, guys, never take offense to me not remembering names, but that's one of the symptoms of the stroke. I don't keep names in the head. It's not personal. It's just something I cannot retain, but I'm 99% sure it was Robert that we worked on a design the other night for a few hours. And in fact, he said he needed a display / storage box. And I mentioned that I had one that I use that is covered in dust, but the box comes out and I've got it organized and I've got all of my earrings in there. And so I can take that out and set it up on top here. But he didn't need anything this big. He needed it to be smaller, and he needed it to be able to be made out of the 300 by 300 material. And he needed it to be designed differently. So we just started from scratch and designed from scratch a display box that could be organized, keep easy count of inventory, and display the pieces he needed to. And I did it backward. I designed the box first and then went back and tried to design the outer case that it slides into for transport and keeping everything in place. And initially, I did not take the outer case into consideration, designing the display case, and I made the display case as big as you could make it using the 300 by 300 material. And I did not leave any room in order to make a case out of the same 300 by 300 material that box would fit into. So I had to scale that box down in order to get it into a new piece of material. Let's see here. I see some comments popping up. I've seen the caps. Okay, yeah, I seen that about Chris and the big steps. Don't forget to like, share. It does help me immensely. I've seen. Okay, yep, got that. And then, yeah. So if you're not if you like and share. Jay says, I just sent you an email that has a picture of something that I did. It is an example of what you are talking about right now. Okay. I don't know what I was talking about when you sent that. Well, I like it too, but my body don't like it. I'm drinking it now because it's the only thing I had that was cold in the house. It's not easy for me to grab that, and I can look at that and possibly introduce it in the either Facebook group but if I get sidetracked, squirrel, I get derailed. Not good. So back to the box. So I had the box, the display box, but I needed a case for it. And I've maximized the material size. So I need to reduce that down, the box down, so I can get it in my case that's going to be built out of that same material. And yes, it was Robert. Robert says, yeah, it was me. And he's going to be cutting it out his first one tomorrow. And that was the other thing is, when we designed this, I don't know, what were we, about 2.5-3 hours designing, putting this stuff together. And of course, it's untested. I had no way to test it. It's like, here, we designed it and sent it to you. Let me know what I need to fix, because we'll need to fix something, because I always have to fix something. I never get it right the first time. Being the box, I didn't allow for the box. So that's what I had to go back and fix. I went and fixed that. And I said, okay, well, now when something don't fit, let me know. We'll go back and try again. There's more than one way to do things. You could actually have rescaled that box that I designed for Robert using math and figuring out, okay, well, I'm going to need, if the maximum amount of space real estate I've got to work with is a 300 by 300, and I need to allow a little bit of room for error, so I do 295. So it was done at 295 out of perimeter, and now I need to make room to bring it down to put it inside of a box. It's going to have a 3 millimeter wall on either side. So that's 6 millimeters. 6 millimeters from 295 is 289 to 289 millimeters. Then I need to have about a millimeter of gap or room on either side in order for it to fit in and fit like a piston. So that's another. So you can do all that math and figure all that out. Or you can do something like this in Lightburn. And this is what I did. And because quite honestly, my brain was just tired. And I said, I'm going to do it this way instead of trying to figure out all that math. If you're in New York calling me right now, sorry, I ain't answering. Scale. Okay. So the piece that Jay was talking about was when he was scaling files, project files. Okay. I can open your email when I get through this thought process. All right. So here, let me switch over to Lightburn. So this was the display box that I come up with to fit his needs. And it's going to have, it's made out of out of 4 pieces of 300 by 300 material. And this one was the first version. We did 2 versions, but this was the first version. And you can see it's right up to the edge of the 300 by 300 material. There's no room there's not going to be hardly anything left at all. There's the bottom, and you can see how tight it is. Then I realized, well, shoot, he wants that outer case, and there's no room to make an outer case with this piece being as big as it is. So what I did was I said, okay, this is, in fact, let me just grab this right here. I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to put it in the center of the work area. And I'm going to ungroup it, and I'm going to get rid of these here. And I said, okay, I've already determined that this was the largest that I can make out of that 300 by 300 material. And if that's the biggest I'm going to make, then I'm going to let that be the top and bottom of the storage case. Now I've got to scale this down to fit inside of this and have room for it to fit and slide in and out, but not be sloppy either. So then what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to come over here and use my rectangle tool and draw from that corner down to that corner. And now I'm at 289 millimeters. It's like, okay, so if I'm at 289 and that is tight, 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 and I want to have a millimeter on either side for it to slide into, then I'm going to unlock my aspect ratio, put my anchor point in the center, and I'm going to reduce the width by 2 millimeters. Subtract 2 millimeters. So I'm now at 287 millimeters. Now I want this to actually be flush with the face of this box. So if that's the case, then I'm going to change my anchor point to the very back, and this part of the box can come forward 3 millimeters because that's how long my tabs are. So I can change with my anchor point at the back. I can add 3 millimeters there, and that's going to bring the face of that storage box all the way out to the end. So now when it slides into place, it'll be flush. So I've got a millimeter on each side, but now it's tight back there. I don't want it to be completely tight. So I'm going to move my anchor point back to the here, and I'm going to subtract a millimeter. Oh, I just hit increased. Subtract a millimeter there to give a little space there. And did I do Control Z? I don't know if I did that. Yeah. I'm going to get, there we go. And now go back. There's full. And that's full there. And now with the anchor point there, 292, and I'm only going to subtract 1 millimeter. So there. Now I've got a millimeter gap all the way around. And there's a whole bunch of ways you could have got there, but I needed to visualize it and see it and see how, okay, and everything's going to fit well. It's going to go, and I got room. And this would give it what's referred to as a piston fit. A piston fit, like a piston in an engine. It's going to be very, very tight. And when you push it in, you'll actually have a little bit of a resistance. The air is going to push out and around the storage box, but it'll be a tight, snug fit. And by pushing it in like that, it's also having, if you were to just tip it up on its side, it's not just going to fall out very, very easily because it's actually got a little bit of a suction to it that's kind of holding it in place. It's not real, but you have to pull it out. So no questions, no comments, just marking my spot and moving on. So now that I have visualized that, and I've got the size and the dimensions of what that storage box needs to be, and I've got a visual representation of it on Lightburn, now I need to bring my previously designed box, which is going to be too large, and scale it down so that it fits into the new dimension. And there's a whole bunch of ways you can do that. You can go in and figure out, okay, well, now I see what those dimensions are, figure out what the percentage of, what's the difference between what they are versus what they need to be, do the math, calculate it, reduce it until that reduced by this, by that. Again, too much of that math for me. I'm a visual person. That's why whenever I try to help folks out, I like to do this like I did with Robert. We get live stream and we just talk and work through it. I'm a visual teacher, learner, educator. I need to see what's going on. That's also why whenever you ask me for help about something, you telling me what it is don't do neither one of us a bit of good. I need to see it. If you've got a problem with a file or a question with a file, you need to send it to me. Otherwise, I have no idea. I can't comprehend it without seeing it. So back over to Lightburn. I'm going to take this piece. This is the new footprint. That's what size this box needs to be. I've got that by itself. I'm going to take that out of the way for right now. I'm going to take this, and I don't really need it anymore, but I'm going to set it out of the way. Now I'll take that, and I'm going to tell it to go to the very center of the work area. And it wasn't in the center a minute ago because of all the movement I did with it, moving it forward and changing the size. So now it's centered up and it's there by itself and it's easy to see. Now this, I've got 4 different pieces. This is the base that's going to need to fit in here nice and tight. But when I scale this, however I scale it, these all need to scale right along with it in order for it to maintain its alignment and fitment and not have any issues. So how can I do that? I've got 4 different pieces. You might be able to just take all of those and group them all and pop that right in the center and scale it down. But if you've got if you had your anchor point and everything perfect, all in the right spot, it might work just fine. But this is what I did. This is how I do it. And to ensure that this stays in the center, I'm going to make sure that all of that is grouped. And it is. And with that grouped, I will send it to the center. And when you look, you can see how much bigger this is than what that needs to be. Take this, and it's grouped now, and I'm going to tell it to go to the vertical center of those and then a little space between them. Make sure those are grouped. They are. Putting that one on the horizontal center and then bring it in. Grouped. And what I'm getting ready to do is totally unnecessary. I know that it is, but it's just what I do so that I see everything is moving the way it's supposed to and everything's not getting skewed. These two tool paths are 300 by 300. I'm going to just draw me a random tool path and tell it to be 300 by 300. Put it in the center. And I'm going to grab those 5 pieces. That one, this one, this one, this one, and that random odd one, and group all of that together. Putting that on there, I think, is totally irrelevant, but it's just how my mind sees things. And I've warned you that my mind can be a terribly scary place sometimes. So now that I've got those 5 grouped together, that's in the very, very center. If I grab the outermost piece and just start scaling it down, holding control, everything's scaling and scaling to the center. And now I can see that that is much smaller than that. That's way too small. So I can roll up here a little bit to where I can see the corner of this and get the corner of that and just start scaling that up. And if you can use your percentages as well too. you can come over here and tell it to, with your aspect ratio locked. If this was unlocked, you'd screw everything up. But with your aspect ratio locked, you can tell it to increase by 1%. And now you can see that 1% made that too big. So you can take it back down. Take it back down. That's too much. So now we'll tell it to go to 100.5%. Still a little bit bigger yet, maybe. So 100 and 100.5, not 52, and another half. That's too much. So now let's tell it to do 99.8%. 99.8%. And I didn't get the figure. 99.8. And that's real close. Real close. Close enough that, you know, it's going to give you just a little bit more room in putting it together, because remember, when I scale it down, I was only allowing for 1 millimeter of room on either side. But by scaling that entire piece down, now it fits in there, right? Maybe, maybe not. Because what we've done is we've scaled that side, that piece down, but now you need to account for your material thickness. And changing your material thickness is going to change the overall size of this piece, and it may not work any longer. So you have to scale it down, then adjust your slots and tabs, check it again. You're probably going to have to scale it down again. So let's go over here and take a look at what I'm talking about. With all of this grouped, you're not going to be able to adjust your slots and tabs. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. So you're going to take all of that and ungroup it. Ungroup it, ungroup it, ungroup it. Where is my ungroup? There it is. Ungroup, 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 ungroup. Everything's now ungrouped. Now select it all. And I'm going, and these were 3 millimeter, but I don't know what they are now. So I'll need to use my ruler, come over here and check it. And it's 2.92. 2.92. Yep. All right. So now I need to tell it to resize everything, tools, resize slots and selection. And I need to change everything that's 2.92 to 3.0. And I'm going to increase my tolerance just a little bit. And then I'm going to look, and I see I've got a mistake here. Not a mistake, but a problem. When I designed this, I did not put an extra node in here. See, these are wanting to adjust as a slot depth, but these are not slots. These are tabs. These are tabs that are sticking up. In fact, there's your tab. And the way you have to be careful. Typically, when you get a design from me that I'm selling online, I've done this. I try to do it every time so that people don't accidentally run into this. But if I didn't catch that and I just rescaled everything, now the design's not going to fit together. And the way you prevent light burn from recognizing a slot, recognizing what should be a tab as a slot, is by introducing extra nodes. So now that I've seen that that's there, I'm going to hit cancel, and I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to go to my nodes editing tool. And here's the piece that was messing up. There's 4 nodes that make the tab, but there's 4 nodes right there that are making a slot. But if I just input an extra node right there and hit the letter M, and it shows up in the middle, and right there, and there's only 3 nodes there, so I don't have to worry about that. So by introducing just those 3 nodes and go back to my tools and resize slots and selection, and I'm trying to do slot depth, now you can see it doesn't recognize those anymore. It's not going to do that. And see, I actually introduced the nodes up here. I just missed those down there. So now I change all my slot depth, apply, change my slot width, which is going to be all my dividers and the slots here. Say apply. Now I need to change the tab height and apply and say okay. And now when I zoom in and look, turn off my nodes, you can see it's within there. It's, in fact, that actually, because I went a little smaller, that would still be less than a millimeter gap. But if you were making this out of 4.7 millimeter material and you needed to keep it that size, then you would need to reduce your entire image again, resize your slots and tabs, and then check and make sure that it all fit. But that time it all fit. So that's just another way of taking an image that you've already got, a design you've already got, and you need to scale it down to a not necessarily a scale, an HO scale or an N scale or a 112 scale. You just need to, when you scale it in an image or a design, scale it in its entirety. Make sure your aspect ratio is locked if you're going to use anything else besides the dragging. And if you're going to do dragging, you want to make sure you're holding your control so you're dragging all four directions. You don't want to just squeeze from one side because that's going to screw things up. So, well, Brad, thank you, sir. Thank you very, 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 very much, Brad. Let's go back up to my first mark here. There it is. Here's your weekly take, Steve. Thank you for the files and knowledge. Not much this week. What? Here's your weekly take, Steve. Thank you for your files and knowledge. Not much this week. As in, I've not done much this week. Don't really follow that, Brad. I've done a whole lot this week. You haven't seen anything in the way of patrons or Patreon or YouTube videos because I've been so busy helping individuals. This week I was Paul Bunyan. I was Paul Bunyan all week long this week. And what do I mean by Paul Bunyan? And I'm guilty of this too, so I'm not making slight of anybody that I helped. Everybody that reached out this week that was having issues were having issues because they couldn't see the forest for the trees. They were the simplest of issues, and they knew how to do it. They knew how to resolve it. They knew how to do it, but they couldn't see it. It was staring right at them, but they just couldn't get there, and they just needed a little bit of extra coaxing, and they're like, oh, I knew that. Why in the world? And I'm happy to help in those situations. But it was so funny this week. Every single person that I reached out and helped, it was a Paul Bunyan situation. I just had to cut the trees down to get, for them to be able to see what's going on. And they got there. And that's the other reason I like to do a visual help with people. And because I could, whatever the problem is, I could fix it and send you the file, but you didn't learn anything from it. I'd rather get there, get with it, get with you and walk through the issue, get through the problem. And then you understand, you say, oh, golly, can't believe, yes, but we all do it. I do it all the time. I do it. Sometimes I have to get up and walk away and I like to blame this on the stroke. Sometimes I have to take a nap. Sometimes I have to just close my eyes and let my brain reset, even if it's only just 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes. And then I can open my eyes and it's like, bam, answer staring right at you. Jay says, when I did the reductions, I just scaled the slots and tabs to fit my material thickness. Size was not important. I don't have to worry about things like, things not fitting. Yeah. And that's how some of the other designers who sell their stuff on Etsy and different places, they market it. Say, oh, this is for, 3 millimeter material. And if you've got 2.8 millimeter material, their suggestion is you just scale it down until your slots and tabs meet the material size you've got. And for some of the designs, and for the majority of them that are out there that are not light burn friendly, that's your only option. But then it may not be the overall size you wanted. But if overall size is not important, then yes, that's one way you can do it. You just scale that down, get it to the, measured, is that, nope, still not there yet. Scale it. Oh, yep, that's it. That's just another way to do it. Oh yeah. Yes, Melissa, you do. Fortunately for me, well, there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons I don't talk about Xful. But when I had my Xful, they didn't have XCS yet. XCS didn't exist. But one of the priorities of my purchase decision of when I buy a laser is two things. One, that it can operate without the internet, and two, that it is not a proprietary driven, software driven laser where it will only work with their software. So if it's not Lightburn friendly, I don't want it. When we Create first came out and they weren't Lightburn friendly, I'm like, nah, thank you, see you, bye. They finally got it to where they were Lightburn friendly, and then everybody that got one had to rebuild it as soon as they got it out of the box. So I was still like, yeah, no, thank you, bye. I think they finally got most of their bugs worked out, but I think I've told them no so many times that they're no longer pursuing me. But no proprietary software and no internet dependability, reliability, where you're dependent on the internet to work. So, but if you can get familiar with Lightburn and your laser will work with Lightburn, you're going to be a whole lot better off. Oh, is that what that was? Okay, I didn't understand what that. I'm glad you figured that out, Chris. Here's your weekly take, Steve. Okay. So for y'all that don't know, Brad he sells a lot of designs, and a lot of designs are my designs. And I tell you, I encourage you, if you are a laser maker that you sell product in craft shows, craft fairs, you make as many of my designs as you can and sell them all and get rich, fat, and happy. I don't care. I don't license my designs. I do not ask for any compensation for but Brad is doing that. Brad's giving me a small percentage of the stuff that he sells. I did not put that together. And I think he's already signed off. But if he watches this replay, I'll send him a note telling him that Chris figured it out. Thank you for the files and knowledge. Not much this week. I was thinking not much knowledge this week, but no, not much. Not much. He didn't sell much this week. And so he'd sent me that $15. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Brad. And what is this? As if he meant not as much funds he gave you. Yeah. And Chris did figure it out. It's 5% of his profits for the week. I'm glad y'all paying attention, because but I'm in a funk. I'm really down about Leo. I really hate that Leo's in the situation he's in. And Andy was one of the ones I helped. He was one of the ones I was lumberjack in. Would be nice if Blackburn would let you lock, tab, and well, the problem is Lightburn don't know a tab from a slot. They don't know what you can't. So it can't do that. That's why you have to put the extra nodes in, because it doesn't know what's a tab and what's a slot. Where'd my mouse go? There it is. Chris has got a face palm of a bruise from face palm. Is it a handprint? Is it a handprint shaped bruise? No, God bless you, Melissa. You are a huge help one way or the other. We all appreciate you and your support. Well, I appreciate you greatly. Jack's, I made that truck last year. I 3D printed a buck all to go between the two plywood panels. That'd be cool. And Jack, you never did follow up with me, brother. You gave me a call and caught me at dinner, and we never did follow up. Did you get your issues resolved? Robert I thank you very much for your time, brother. You did not need to do that, man. I was glad and happy to do it. And guys, uh, I say this all the time. I help folks. Not that's why I didn't get any videos done this week, is because I've been busy helping so many people, and I don't ask for money from people. I don't ask if they're patrons when they reach out to me. I just help whoever needs help. Uh, and it's you, but you are a patron, and you doing that is above and beyond. You did not need to do that, but God bless you. Uh, he mentioned it as a general comment, which is why you missed it. Okay, he didn't mark it with comments or the exclamation points. Gotcha. Um, no, we don't. I don't know if it's Leo Desert Flowers. But you missed the opening. Apparently, Rolly is closing shop. Rolly is closing shop, and it is largely due to health issues. And he didn't go into detail in his posting about if it was him personally or just family or what. But it's enough. Anytime there's health issues that are really serious, it weighs on you physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, in every possible way. And stress is the worst thing anybody can have on them. And so he's made a decision to lighten his stress load by closing shop. So I don't know any details. I was thinking you should make a camera tripod for your camera senior video with the wood carving. I've got tripods in here. I've got a tripod that sits here and a tripod that sits at the work tables, but I don't have a tripod that I can take outside. And the wood carving, did you see? I tried to get Gigi to wear the camera. I tried to get Gigi to wear the camera on the harness so she could be my camera dog. And off the porch, she was done. She was a squirrel. So that didn't work. The camera dog did not work. But I thought it was funny. That's why I included it. But no, I need when I go outside out to the out for woodworking or the unboxing videos, and now I've got a new roommate, and I try to respect his personal space and not be operating any loud machines in the house. So I had to be outside for that, and I didn't have another camera operator. And this is what I ended up. This was the first I did, and I'm going to be getting the. In fact, I'm going to be opening the Cubico this week. I'll probably open the Cubico Monday. I think I'm still waiting on a package. I got one in this week. I think there's 4 packages, a total of 8 packages, I think, because I doubled everything, one for me and one for you. You, not, but you. You get to take one of these Cubicos home. So I'll be opening that box Monday and unboxing that and seeing if I've got all the pieces or if there's anything still missing. And the plan was I was going to do some pieces with the Cubico and then show how they contrast to a hand carved piece. But I said, you know what? I'll just do it in verse. So this was done with a rotary, a variable speed rotary, really nice piece of equipment. But this was my first attempt, and I don't have the right carving bits yet either. That's something else I'm still learning, still figuring out. But that was a stupid little heart that I did, not a heart, a flower. And it was no way I could hold the material and carve and hold the camera. And so I didn't actually get to film the actual process. Plus, that ain't worth watching. But it's going to be an interesting learning experience. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, got that. So if he does close shop, how do we buy our products for our machines? Well, he's still got inventory and he's got the machines on closeout prices and he's still got supply pieces and he's going to try and maintain for a year. Um, so, and if like I mentioned, anybody who's late to the chat, like Desert Flowers, if you've been on the fence about buying a Rolly, don't let the fact that they're not going to be open prevent you from buying one. Right now, they're on closeout prices. Go get you one. You will not be disappointed. And I see Ed saying ignore something, but I don't know. I missed something somewhere. Without so like Desert Flower, and that's why I've got that going across the bottom. Desert Flower's got the exclamation points. Without the exclamation points, some of it gets missed. So just I don't know what Ed was looking at or said, and then this is ignore. So Ed, if it's something I need to, let me know. And thank you, Shoeless Joe, dropping by to say hi. Hi. Yeah. So, yeah, Kilroy, if you didn't see the beginning of this stream, you'll need to go back and watch it. Watch the replay because the first few minutes I addressed just that. And I also put some cautionary tales in there about the Rolly Automation Facebook group, the official Rolly Automation Facebook group. There's nothing official about it. It's not Rolly. It's somebody else. It's another mouthpiece running that. And you need to be careful about any future involvement with it because you will see that that's not going to be Rolly. It'll be another mouthpiece that's got a very large mouthpiece. And you probably see it be twisted into something that it's not, looking for Rolly support or something else. So beware of any future involvement in that Facebook group. Seeing as Gigi was sacked as a camera dog, replace her with a drone. Yeah, I thought it was funny. I was like, all right, be still. And she's be still, got the camera. And as soon as she got the camera, gone. Oh, wow. Unfortunately, Rolly stock's only available in the US. Just try to get a second machine. Wow. And you're not available. So his Facebook, it's never actually been his Facebook group. He's been a administrator, but it wasn't set up by him. Somebody else set it up using their information and they claim ownership of that Facebook group. It's not Rolly. Never has been Rolly. They've been running rimshot over everybody that has anything doing what he wants to do, regardless what Leo wanted to have done. So I would be done with that group. I would cut ties and just be done with it. Yeah. No, he was an administrator and he did contribute and he was there and he would participate, but he actually did not have control over it. That's why I'm not in it. That mouthpiece kicked me out, and not only kicked me out, but blocked me completely. I didn't even see any of this about Rolly closing until somebody emailed me asking me if I knew, but I couldn't see it. It's all blocked. Yeah. He's already been on tonight and spoke about Rolly and recommending a new diode. Yeah, it's. I have to be careful. I can say truths, but I don't want to say anything liable because because I hadn't said who he is. But he likes to sue people too. So just be careful. All right. All right. Any questions? In fact, you know what? Let's go. I'm going to try to open up the email. What Jay sent me. Jay said he sent something. Inbox. Did you send it to Hobo with Wood at Gmail? Yeah, there it is. All right. Since he brought it up, and we'll go over here, and I'm going to share auto. So it's funny your topic today is all about scaling and resizing. The radio bank started out as a 3mm design. I enlarged it to accommodate my 3.33mm. I also reduced it to accommodate 1.5mm and changed it. Yeah. And here is his images of all of his different banks. That's a cool file, cool design. I wanted to do. I've got a piece of Babinga. I bought it over a year ago. It's a $200 sheet of Babinga, $230 sheet. It's an 8x10, 3mm wide, solid hardwood Babinga. And I wanted to use the Babinga to make a file like that. But I didn't want to use it with the individual pieces. I actually want to bend the hardwood around, keep it all solid, and then use other variations of maple or other pieces to create the accent pieces, and maybe some ebony in the back to create the screens for the speakers. So to do what I wanted to do, it would have been about the size or bigger than what you got there. And I probably would have had probably close to $400 or $500 in material in it. And I was going to make it a functional radio. I was going to put speakers and dials and actually make it a Bluetooth speaker is what I was going to do. It was going to look like the old antique radio and make it a Bluetooth speaker. But, $400 or $500 tied up in it to sit on the shelf. I ain't had that kind of money. I've got one piece of the material sitting here, but just sitting there. Oh, all right. Yeah, Carl, I encourage everybody to jump ship. Jump ship. On a good note, I got a new pickup, 2025 Nissan Frontier 4x4. Now I can get up the driveway this winter. That's always a good thing, Moses. It's always a good thing to be able to get to your house. Not sure what it's not worth the time, Kai. I'm not sure what that was about. 230 when you bought it, probably it's ridiculous. I know that. Well, I've got. I've actually got one of the kits from Rockler. If you've not seen those, they're pretty cool. Where it comes with the little speaker and everything you need. It's a little radio kit from Rockler that I've got that I was going to put in it. I've got a Bluetooth speaker that I could just put in there, but I wanted to make it functional with the dials and all that good stuff. I just ordered a 24 by 40 by 1220 sheet of white painted 3M. Okay. So 300 by 300. So that's a big piece. What is that? Is that like a 4x8 sheet? You got, see, you're going using all that metric stuff. May have to go in and do a conversion. 24 by 40. 24 by 40. Come on, fingers. To inches. Yeah, so it's a 4x8 sheet. So 4 foot by 8 foot, pre-painted MDF for 16 UK pounds. 16 UK to US. I don't want clothing sizes. $20. That ain't bad, brother. That's actually a really good price. That's a really, it's aggravating to have to cut it down to use the size you need. But that's actually a really good price if it's good material. Okay, all right. Well, Terry says sponsor time. You know what? I've been working on that. I think I got it figured out. I think I figured it out. So I want to try to run this commercial. I think I got it figured out. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you're hearing it, because I'm not going to hear anything, but I think I got it set up so you guys do. So media asset, and where there it is. All right, here we go. I hope. Every day around the world, unseen tragedies unfold. We often think of animals and the neglected pets yearning for a warm touch. But there's another silent sufferer. The hobby laserologist without wood. His laser, a powerful tool of artistic expression, it lies dormant. Its beam, once carving intricate designs into beautiful wood, is now steel. Hobo yearns for the grain, the texture, the inspiration that only wood can provide. He dreams of crafting personalized gifts, intricate models, the very things that bring joy to others and purpose to his life. But without a steady supply of quality wood, his passion withers. The silence in his workshop is deafening. The creative spark, once so bright, now flickers weakly. How much longer can Hobo endure this woodless existence? For less than the cost of your daily cup of coffee, you can provide and make a difference in Hobo's life. For just $20 a month, you can provide him with a steady supply of beautiful hardwoods, igniting his creativity and filling his workshop with the joyful whir of his laser once more. Your small contribution can unleash a torrent of laser engraved wonders. You can help Hobo rediscover his passion, bring his unique talents back to life. Your support as a gold patron will get you a coupon code that will allow you to download all of Hobo's creations on hobowithwood.com for free. Visit patreon.com/hobowithwood and become a gold patron today. Give that gift of inspiration. Give the gift of wood. Give Hobo a reason to laser again. Okay, I got to fix that ending. Something about that went way too long, and when it's playing, I can't hear it, and you can't hear me. It's all me. But and I know a lot of you seen that already. But Terry mentioned, "Hey, time for the sponsor," and so there it is. And I was blessed by probably half a dozen of you who did not go. Some of you are actually already patrons. When I and sent some actual wood, and I'm like, well, I got two more cases that I've not yet opened. So I'm blessed with wood right now. So I don't need actual wood. I got plenty of wood, but I can still use the the support. If you go to patreon.com/hobowithwood, it'd be greatly appreciated. And Desert Flowers, running out of designs on crosses. Pretty much all I do. Do you have any more designs or ideas where to go? I've had some recent ideas and I haven't got around to doing them yet because I've got too many pokes in the fire. My my world, my patrons know just how bad my world has changed in the past 3 months, 4 months. And that's the reason my output on designs has suffered a little. And I've really got to get a handle on that, because if I'm not designing, I ain't making no money. But I got some ideas. I've been playing with some. And Robert points out a good, Craft Closet website has multiple different colors, and that's the material that Russ sent me. Russ sent me some samples from Craft Closet's MDF, and that is the first MDF that I have used that I like. I've tried multiples over the last 3 years and had terrible results with it, and I used to swear it off, but now I swear by the Craft Closet MDF. That is some really good stuff. All right. And I see a lot of you saying you've jumped ship on that. Yeah, I'm telling you. And if you've got all of your ducks in a row with needing any kind of support from anything directly with Leo, then there's no point in being on that Facebook group anymore, because he will not be actively participating in it as much as he was, and eventually not at all. And no idea what the other mouthpiece's intentions are, but I would be weary. And so I don't know. I wonder if Ego Man's copied this ad yet. There ain't no telling, because I did write my song, and I don't even use that hardly anymore. I wrote an original song, Hobo with Wood and his Rolly Laser, and then y'all tell me that he's doing that too. I'm like, really? Get a life. So I quit doing mine. Like, and Robert says I need to increase the volume on the ad. I'll fix that. Thank you for the feedback. That's what it's supposed to do, Terry. Pull at them heartstrings. Pull at them heartstrings. Explain the gold benefits of sponsorship. All right. So as a patron, there are 3 levels on the patron sponsorship: gold, silver, and bronze. Bronze is $3 a month. Silver is $6 a month, and gold is $20 a month. So for less than a cup of coffee a day, you can become a gold supporter on Patreon, and it's going to get you a coupon code that will get you 100% off on all of my digital files on the hobowithwood.com website. Whether you're gold, silver, bronze, or not a patron at all, if you need help, you can always reach out to hobowithwood@gmail.com and say, hey, I'm having a problem with this file, and send that file. And I'll be glad to send you a link, and we can try to get on a FaceTime like this and actually converse about the issues. But the gold patron level is going to get you 100% off on all of the digital files on hobowithwood.com. And I do recognize the name, and I appreciate your support. We don't talk about Ego Man. That's why we don't bother. We don't bother mentioning this. Is not. Well, you know what? I'm with you, Desert Flowers, and that Desert Flowers. I guess Led Zeppelin made a comment about using AI to create products, and Desert Flowers says, I'm a Jesus follower. I believe it. By looking at some of the AI stuff, it reminds me of some bad things. Yeah, it's you. Let your discernment be your guide. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention the platinum level. There's gold, silver, and bronze. And if you're new and you haven't heard about the platinum level, there is a platinum level on patreon.com For a mere $5,000 a month, you can get all the benefits of gold, silver, and bronze. And I will come to your house once a month and fix your dinner and talk to you until the cows come home about Lightburn. So, oh, is it nine? It's what I say, six? It's $9 a month. All right. So I'm done with that. I've covered that. All right. We're at 90 minutes. Anybody got any questions? Any questions? Any problems? Total open forum, whatever you got. If no questions, we'll wrap it up. But the most important thing when you're scaling the file, if you're scaling an existing file, regardless what technique you use, if you do it using math and you do it by percentage, just remember that when you go to resize those slots and tabs, then you're going to run in a position where the file is going to change its overall dimensions again. You need to check again. You may need to scale it down again and then resize again and check it again. Well, thank you, and God bless you, Desert Flowers. Oh, and I did want to show you this. One thing that you have to be really, really careful of, and if you're going to do, because if you're going to get into doing because the dollhouse stuff is a whole lot easier to do because it's 12 to 1, or it's manageable. You can make it manageable. But when you start getting into HO scale and you start getting down to a 178 or 187 ratio, things get really small. And let me get Lightburn back over here. And I'm gonna bring the farm truck up. Let me get the farm truck. So file. Actually, I need to save this and send it to Robert. Actually, I'm not. I'm just open up a new one because I don't remember what I've got. I need to send Robert this amended file. File is a new window. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding ding dong. Do you have a link for? No, I don't have a link for Craft Closet. I've got a link to their product on that one product on Amazon, but I don't know if you get a better deal just buying direct from Craft Closet. See, file, open recent projects, and I want the farm truck. Farm truck. All right, done. All right, so switch. So here's my farm truck at its regular size. And if I look here, and I've got some extra toolpaths in here, let me get rid of those, delete that and delete that. So if I pick the profile of this truck right now, it's about 5 inches long. Or no, from front to back, it's about 5 inches long. And I Googled the real world dimensions of this. And I was thinking it was early 50s. I think somebody said it might have been late 40s. But I looked at an early 50s Ford truck, and it's about 16 feet. I think it was like 16 feet, 3 inches was the overall dimensions, front to back. So if it's 16 feet, and here I've got it at 5 inches, then if we go get a calculator and get that ugly math out, calculator. So 16 feet times 12 inches, it's 192 inches. And I've got it at 5 inches. So 5 inches divided by 192. So it was a 0.026 scale, somewhere like that or something. So it's really, really small. But if I wanted to take and do the, let's see, I want to find this. There we go. All right. So real world dimensions, my real world dimensions, I've got that, and I need to divide it. Or no, see, I know what my scale is. So if I want to take it to HO scale, then I've got my real world dimensions and I'm going to divide it by the HO scale. And then I'll get my model dimensions. And the HO scale is 0.8 or 1 to 87. So in order for that to work, calculator, 16 feet times 12. It's 192 inches. And the scale was 87. So 192 divided by 80. I'm on 192 divided by 87. 2.21. We'll see 2.21 inches. So, and I got things everywhere. Nope. Come to Papa. There you are. There I am. And so 2.2 inches will be the overall length of what that truck needed to be HO scale. So if I take that and then let's say I'm gonna try to use that math instead of just scrunching it. I could draw me a rectangle that's 2.21 inches and then just squeeze it all down until that part of the truck fits in there, and that would work. But it's going to be a little bit less than half, because half would be 2.5. So we'll say about 45%. We'll try that and see where it's at. So if I just grab that entire piece and tell it to scale it down to 45% and then check that individual piece, 2.25. That's really, really close. But, and this will work. This will work for the example I was going to try to show you. Now I've scaled this down to HO scale, but now I need to make this so I can use my material. So if I go back in and resize my slots and selection, well, I didn't check my previous dimensions. Let's check that. Inches, metric. There we go. So it's 0.92 millimeters right now. So if I resize that from a 0.92 millimeters, and dadgummit, go to millimeters. .92 millimeters, and I'm going to do 3 millimeter material. I need to change my slot width, and I'm only going to do the slots and show you, and apply and say okay. Then I'll come down here and look, see what happened to my slots. They're way too big for this material. None of that stuff fits anymore. And that's where you would need to get, some 1/8 inch material, some really thin basswood or something to do those HO scales. All right. I need to do more with their stuff. I need to get more familiar with them, and then I can reach out to them. But I was really impressed with it. If nothing else, even if I can get a link that doesn't, I don't get a thing off of it, but that, get you guys 5% off the stuff you buy. Hey, that'd be great. When cutting tabs and slots, do you need to change kerf offset for whole task? And if you've got internal slots, if you really want to be critical about it, the internal slots need to be on an entirely different cut path with a different kerf offset, because you're taking kerf off of all 4 sides of an internal slot, or you're adding kerf to all 4 sides of an internal slot. And if you add your full kerf to an internal slot, it's going to be so tight you can't get your piece in there. So when you've got an internal slot, I usually select all of my internal slots, put them on an entirely separate layer, and give it only half my kerf. I do half kerf, positive kerf on the inner slots, and then my full kerf on all the external slots and tabs. You might want to explain my problem regarding scaling. Might want to explain my problem regarding scaling so small as to be smaller than minimum dot size. I remember that, Terry. Terry is another one that we worked on. Terry and I've been working on a design now for a while. He's begun to give it loving names of like, I'm sick of this, I'm tired of this. He's giving it all kinds of really good pet names. He's getting fed up with the design. And I can't remember, Terry. I did mention that I wanted to be careful about that. When you scaled it and it became smaller than the actual dot size. I remember we're doing stuff in line mode, and I think I remember what that was. I think. My little man Homer is ready for pickup from the groomer. Therefore, I need to be going. Thank you. No, thank you. And God bless you for what you do and your support. And I'm sure she's already gone, but travel safe, be safe. Eric from Valley Forge uses and raves about their laser products. I'm guessing you're talking about Craft Closet. Yeah, they're good, really good stuff. Didn't fire? I don't remember. Smaller than laser could fire. Yeah, I think what was going on there, and again, too many people, too many problems, and since my strokes, I have the RAM of a 1983 random or Tandy TRS 80. And if anybody knows what a Tandy TRS 80 is, then you're definitely in the old fart club. But I have the RAM of a TRS 80. Things that don't need to be there, they got to go to make room for something else. And I do remember the issue about whatever we did, the spacing between the two was smaller than the actual dot size, the movement of the laser, so it didn't create the actual outcome. I forget, Chris, exactly what happened. But the output was not what we wanted it to be. And it was because it looked like one thing, I think, on the display, on the preview, but the outcome was completely different. I wish I could remember, Terry. I wished I could remember the details, but I'm gone. Yes, that's the nickname. That's it. Chuck knows. What's up, old fart? The trash 80s. Yes, sir. The trash 80s. First computer was a Tandy TRS 80 with a cassette. Yep. Yeah, we had to make the lines wider, and I can't remember the exact situation on it though, but I do remember that the lines were too close together. The lines were so close together, the lines were closer together than the spot size. And so even though it might have ran the two lines, it just looked like one line. We wasn't getting any spacing or any gap. We wasn't getting the separation because the lines were closer than the spot size. So if essentially the laser was overlapping itself, yeah, what, because you'll get overburn from a line overlap. Yeah. But I don't remember the details exactly. Radio Shack TRS-80, use the 8080 CPU. I never owned a TRS-80. I had several Tandys, but I started out using the TRS-80 in the classroom. Yeah, and the TRS-80 wasn't the only one that used the cassette deck. They had one that was just the keyboard was the entire computer. The keyboard was it, and you could take that keyboard and plug that into an actual cassette tape player, and then plug it into the back of your little black and white TV, and you could code and write and do. And it was, yeah, I was a huge Radio Shack fan. I was a closet nerd. Texas, I was not so much on the TI fan. I don't know much about Texas Instruments. I still have a TSR color computer. Okay. Oh, and then, oh my goodness. Somebody's mentioning the commode door. He used to sell commode doors. Oh, and Terry, the other Terry, says he used to sell them too. So we had some commode door sellers. All right, guys. I'm in a little better mood after, and this is what y'all do for me. And it's like, the Saturday 2 weeks ago, when I was really struggling from fatigue and my strokes are showing themselves. But about halfway through it, I was starting to feel better. You guys picked me up and helped lift my spirits. And you are my medication. I do not take anything that the doctors want to prescribe. I don't do it. I will not do it. I won't put the poisons in my body. You are my medication. In fact, I was talking to a friend of mine today, but just before going live, and he's doing scroll saw work right now, and he's going to come over and take a look at what I'm doing with the lasers. And he said he had taken his blood pressure and couldn't believe it. Called his wife in. The wife come in and looked at it and said, "That ain't your blood pressure. What's going on?" They did it again, and it says, "Your blood pressure ain't never at low." And they was concerned. I mean, it was normal. It was below normal. It was good, but his blood pressure was always extremely elevated. And I told him, I said, "It's because of your woodworking, brother." I said, "Doing all that woodworking is therapeutic. You get in there and you get into a zone, and you forget the rest of the world. You just get in there and get into a groove and start doing your thing." So if you're not already doing this, go grab your Rolly while they're on, closeout prices. You will not buy a better laser, and you won't get one as cheap as what they are right now. If you're in the U.S., I understand there's only a few left, but grab them up, get you one while you can, because it is very, very therapeutic to be doing this. But yeah, let's see. There are some really old farts on here. You help us more than you will ever know. Well, I tell you, I do. It is a two-way street, brother. It's a two-way street. So I am grateful for you being here. Grateful you're hanging out. Thank you, because there's a lot of other things you could do, a lot of other places you could be, and I'm glad that you decided to do it here. So once again, I would consider, if you don't need to be on that Rolly Automation Facebook group page, jump off of it and be done with it. If you stay there, beware and be aware that any solicitations that start coming from that group will not be coming from Rolly, but it will still probably have that official name badge on the group. All right. You guys have a great weekend, what's left of it. And this week, I will be unboxing the Cubico. hopefully everything's here. I think there's still a box missing, but if everything's here, then we'll get all that out and get it set up. And this is the end of August. Next month, in the month of September, somebody is going to get the other Cubico. I'll give away that other Cubico next month. So I'll start promoting that. Hopefully I'll get that set up. I may end up putting it here in place of the XW just to help promote the giveaway and see where it goes. But it depends on how loud it's going to be, because I don't want to upset my roommate with too much noise. So thank you again for all your support. We'll see you next week. Y'all have a great weekend.